All right. I am recording. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Alrighty.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our seasonal anime preview for summer 2026. Hey, Steve.
Hello.
Hey, John.
Konnichiwa, everyone.
Indeed. We managed to get through, did I say 21 anime?
Believe so, yes.
Of this season. As usual, no season 2, season 3, season 4s, no remakes, that kind of stuff in here. So there are a few things we did not get to. There are actually quite a few we did not get to, but also those got filtered out. Also, none of the anime for like very young children. So we're going to get to the 21 that we managed to watch this season. And as always, we're going to try to make this as descriptive as possible. We try to be less about our reactions and more about your what we actually saw in this show, to try to be as helpful as possible. And we're going to start with
it has color and sound.
Exactly, yes.
Nice.
So we're going to start with A Witch's Life in Mongol, which was definitely one of the standout anime of this season for us. So this is set in the Middle East, in a Muslim culture, where the main character is a little girl who is brought into a household, and it deals with education, with the situation of women and girls in that society. It deals with the society in general and just kind of what's going on with education and so forth in, I thought, a remarkably balanced and also realistic way. What is as historically accurate as I'm aware of, but then also just this freaking art style.
Yeah.
It has this interesting, almost, I would say flat aesthetic with muted colors generally all throughout. Again, very much in keeping with that, the architecture of the time, right? There's a lot of brick and a lot of mud, kind of brick stuff around here, which totally makes sense. But you have this fantastic or fabulous, almost picture book quality to the backgrounds, and then these very rounded character designs. We talked about how Osamu Tezuka it felt, much like a lot of those works, and the cuteness of it really helps to pull you into what is ultimately a relatively grounded historical anime, right? Where this is about, nobody here has the magical scepter that is going to, unite the kingdoms or anything. This is about real people in the real world, despite fictionalization. So yeah, definitely a standout for me.
Yeah, when we started watching this, the color palette is what we all noticed at first. Design, and I believe our initial reactions was, "Is this anime?"
Yeah,
and it kind of reminded me a little bit of Tezuka's Belladonna Sadness, where it's called an anime, but there's really not that much anime style to it.
Yeah.
But then as this comes along, you look at the character designs, and we're just like, oh no, that's got to be a throwback to Tezuka. That's got to be like an homage to him or whatever. But to piggyback on kind of what you're saying about the culture of the anime, this is a Muslim culture, but we're getting into, this is, I believe, in the 1200s AD. I think this is what this is set in, and this is about that society, and they're not diving too deep into what we would talk about today about Muslim societies,
right?
And this is more of a, I don't want to say it's a, oh, pro-slavery, yes, that's the one most wonderful thing,
right?
But it kind of takes that and it says, well, this is what that was a part of in that society, so this is how that worked. And so when you hear the term slavery, you look at what these people are doing, these women are doing in particular, and you realize it's really Maid service kinds of things,
Mm-hmm.
laundry, cooking.
Yeah.
This isn't like, tilling the fields and people getting whipped and all that crap.
Yeah, I know.
This is a different stuff. Again, slavery bad.
Yeah.
But
to be
it
clear.
just kind of to be clear. And by the way, I'm glad that we're on this shot because there's a woman there with blue eyes and blonde hair. That is not a character design decision in terms of to differentiate. That is something that happened at that time where people from different cultures wind up in other cultures, and they often wind up in that situation.
Yep.
So she was probably European.
Yeah.
But the way that they also talked about the little girl's not plight, but basically the idea of the woman in all black, her husband had just passed away, and so she's in mourning, and she needs help in the household. So she's going to get the slave, and they make a deal to where he says, "Well, there's one little girl here. She's too young to really do anything slave, right? Or what they define as slavery.
Housework.
But they want her to housework.
Yeah.
They want her to be educated."
Mm-hmm.
So as you were saying, Brent, education is something key. Now, what a lot of people probably don't know historically is that in this time period, in this part of the world, the sciences and mathematics were at the forefront of thought and wisdom, and people were actively pushing those particular envelopes. Yeah. And then, kind of melding that with Islam, actually. And they talk about Islam. But again, this is what they would have talked about in that society. Yeah. It's not an academic for us, like the three of us, to sit here and say something we don't know about and, talk about it. So it's really nice. Well,
it's one of the things that kind of is so fascinating about this is that it is presenting those aspects of the society without either glorifying or like denigrating it. Right. Like, it's not, this is why the society is great. It's not, this is why we don't like the society. This is the society.
They're literally giving you a snapshot of what's going on. Yeah. And it's just a very nice way to go about it. And it is, and then eventually we're going to deal with the Mongols, obviously, hence the title. but you go through this, and again, the color palette, the story behind it, the fact that the girl, the little girl is, initially, she's our protagonist. Initially, she's just like, I don't want to study. I don't want to learn anything because if I do that, then I'm going to be farther away from my home where I came from. And I don't want to do any of this. And there's actually even though technically they're their owners, these people are just like, no, actually, this is something you want. And this is something, it's actually our duty to give to you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so that explanation is made for them. Yeah. And it's just, and I'll just wrap it up for myself here, but it was just, I fell in love with this, the whole idea of this. And so I can't wait to watch more of this.
Yeah. Well, as we discussed when we were watching it, the presentation typically of Christianity in an anime context is a trapping at best and some symbolism, but there's it's very hollow. This
nuns with guns,
this is an amazingly balanced view of Islam. From the acceptance of Western learning and sciences into the Islamic schools of education to further that knowledge, and the value of that, not just an incidental, we plundered something. No, it's an integrated part of the education of scholars in the Islamic world. And just like from things, the lady of the house, she's in a period of mourning, and they actually talk about she's in a period of mourning and use the appropriate terms. Yeah. When the lady of the house is going to go to a women's bath, again, correct terminology for things. And it's like, this is, I was surprised, and I expressed that to you guys, that is the depth of understanding of Muslim culture. Yeah. It's impressive. So it doesn't detract, it doesn't make comedic use of. It is wonderfully immersive in that aspect.
Agreed.
And makes it feels feels educational. And I'm not saying that
Right.
like, it's
Yeah, yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But we get, these lovely, what one would consider to be sort of Middle Eastern kind of cultural structures of buildings.
Yeah.
The lovely mosaics, a lot of the artistic element that's done for this is really well researched. It feels like, did you go and actually like look at pictures, consult the Quran, go and look at all these things to really amass this to present something that feels like you're learning something while you're watching it and you're deeply entertained by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1000%. All right, let's move on to Buchigire, which is kind of a villainous anime with a twist. So I've got to explain a little bit about the plot here just so it kind of makes sense. The main character is the extremely skilled fiance to the prince, who the main character then ends up accusing and sentencing to death, basically. The twist here being that she is actually the heroine of the story, because that girl is actually plotting against her. The further twist being that this particular woman is very skilled at administration and politics and how everything is going. So once she realizes what's going on, she decides that she is going to abandon this place and side with their enemies and kind of get revenge. And what struck me about it is that while it is presenting all of the trappings of the Otome game, plot line, she is so centered as a character that it's interesting to watch her behavior. She knows what she's doing. She is moving through things. Not that she sees this coming, but she is so willing to kind of roll with the punches and say, okay, I'm going to do this, going to do this, going to do this. It's interesting to watch a character like that. Even though we're within this very cliched trapping, which obviously is the point that we're twisting that plot line. So I appreciated that twist, and I think it made the show more interesting to watch. That said, I will say again, it's all of those tropes, visually, artistically, dialogue. So if you're not into that, I think there's going to be a hard sell. But as a twist, I think they're well committed to that differentiator.
Yeah, when we were initially watching this, my thought was like, oh gosh, it's another Otome game. Yay. And and so that
no, Steve, settle down. Control your excitement. It's okay.
But I was waiting for the point of like either it's revealed that it's a game and whether or not this was going to be an isekai into the game, that kind of thing. And then it didn't. No. And we're just like, oh, okay, well, this is a little bit more interesting now. But it really does, at the very beginning, it is, it's that. And then, as she is, again, as part of the plot, she gets the betrayal, not only the betrayal of that, but basically the betrayal of the nation. And then she just, to quote the line from the Batman movies, she just wants to watch the world burn.
Pretty much.
Well, look, we were talking about it. It's nice to have a protagonist like her who has agency. And from last season, the lady, that same situation, started punching people.
Right.
Right. Doesn't go to that. It's nice to see she doesn't need the prince from the neighboring kingdom. She doesn't need anybody. Given the fact that we've seen the skills that she has before the betrayal, she lands on her feet and puts together a plan and acts on it with the trusted confidants and that, things that you would need to action that. and then proceeds to move forward.
Yeah.
She's not weeping in a jail cell. She's not, crying and pulling her hair. Why don't you love me, Princey boy? No. You know what I mean? She is composed. She is together. And given the tropes, which felt, as we were watching it, like they just shoved the trope at us like a wheelbarrow and said, oh, well, you know what this is. Here, have that. And then we moved right beyond that and got into the meat of it, where it's like, okay, well, this is how she herself is different than what you were expecting out of that trope. And it's like, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Speaking of anime that were kind of surprises, The Cat and the Dragon.
Yeah.
I still don't know who this anime is for. Despite
Dragon
liking
lovers.
it a lot. Yeah. Dragon and cat lovers. So basically, well, I mean, it's they pretty much lay it right out there. A dragon is hatched after its mother is killed, right underneath a cat, like a magical cat that is taking care of its young and is adopted as a kitten. So there's a brief ugly duckling kind of sequence early on, and then the dragon basically grows up and decides it is going to protect this breed of cats. Finds out that the I don't know that it's actually worth going into all of the details, but basically it is arranged that these particular magical cats will be protected in this kingdom under the dragon's authority and protection. When I say they'll be protected, the dragon will protect them, like very explicitly, directly.
Absolutely protect them.
Yes, with fire. And death. Yeah. And that's kind of
With
where
witty
we
banter. No.
Yeah, no. And that's kind of where we end the first episode, where one of the royal kids befriends one of these cats, and there's some concern about that because they're magical beings. What does that mean? And so the dragon is like, well, no, this is going to be okay. So this very much feels like the setup episode for what's going to happen next. Like there's, we have not got to the plot yet. This is just establishing our premise. But it's this weird combination of cuteness, a lot of cuteness of cats running around doing things, and not cuteness, which I will not show you. Because it gets really dark at times with some of the elements, and fairly heavy on some of the topics, which was just again kind of surprising. So not quite sure why they're going there. There's just a lot of tonal shifts over the course of the episode, but certainly entertaining. So, and again, that could just be, we're trying to establish our premise. We got to kind of get through a lot of different elements. So that makes it feel a little awkward. So for me, one of those shows where it certainly intrigued me enough to be curious to watch more. That didn't like detract. It was just odd for me.
There were very much sweet moments in this, particularly at the beginning when the mother cat with her litter and brings in the baby dragon and actually says, oh, this is not the first time that I've taken care of a magical thing that is not a cat, that is not of our race, the cat Side. And so I'm going to take care of this thing, and it's going to grow up right, and because I'm going to be a good mom. And so there's really nice sweet elements of those kinds of things, and there's this explanation of how the cats deal with the dragon, where they're like, oh no, we have your scent, so that tells us who you are, and so we know we can come to trust you, and that kind of thing. And there's this really nice, for the dragon, this moment of like, okay, I'm trusted, and these people consider me family, and I'm gonna do the thing, and we're all going to be one big happy family. And it's very nice and sweet until I have to do death. And it comes out of nowhere. Some of this stuff comes literally out of nowhere. You're just like, okay, he made the threat. He's going, oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. And but again, it's nice and sweet. And then it's very much like it ended, and I, kind of to your point, Brent, I'm like, we don't know what the plot is yet.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this going to be moving forward?
I mean, it's nice to have another found family kind of anime.
True.
Where the outsider is welcomed in, becomes part of the group, and that's sweet. That we're given the heads up that there are consequences for things that do happen in the world. So it's not just all cute things running around doing cute stuff. But it also leaves me that kind of question of like, was that the whole point? Is like different people or different things can come together and they can be collectively family or a group or whatever, and that's where the message goes. And it's just because cats are cute and dragons pretending to like be a part of cats is cute. That's the hook that brings people into the central message.
Yeah.
Don't know. I also would like to see more of it to figure out, like, does it become more of a story of the cats and the dragon just sort of pops in occasionally to, deliver wisdom or guidance or fire.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's about cats and how they're getting along in the world. I don't know. I'm curious to know.
Yeah. When I first started it, I thought, okay, I think this is aimed at like grade school kids,
Right.
And then, no. There were several shots where I don't think so.
A little disturbing for grade school kids.
A little disturbing for grade school kids. Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, fun. All right, moving on to Dara-san of Reiwa. Yeah, which I'm going to have to be very careful about which shots here that I show. So basically, this is it's kind of a slice of life comedy starring a yokai. So we have these two kids who get involved. Let's see what we can do. I think the opening credits should be fairly reasonable. So we have these two kids who get involved with this spider goddess, basically. Not quite goddess, but a spider woman yokai.
Snake.
Thank you, snake woman.
Yeah, I never understood why she had more arms, but snake.
Yeah. And so the tone is, again, kind of wacky fish out of water kind of comedy, where she's trying to explain things to them. They're trying to understand, but they don't quite understand. But also with this element of like playing the horror moments as horror. The premise basically being that she has been sealed away on this mountaintop. There's a landslide. Kids go up. She's kind of been freed, and so now she can kind of go around and do things. But she's clearly not as evil as she was, perhaps 200 years ago, whatever. And again, fun comedy, light stuff until they start chopping a woman's legs off. There's something really gory, dark stuff in this. So be prepared for that.
And etchy.
So when they first discover her, she is not wearing any clothes, and they do not. About half the time they bother to have the hair cover the top, and half the time they do not, and they are just all out there. So that's a thing to be aware of. So it is again.
NSFW.
Yeah, very much. In contrast to the previous one, where there was a lot going on and it felt kind of disjointed as a result of that, this has a lot going on, but it feels more intentional, where the tonal shifts feel, well, obviously we're doing this sort of almost horror spoof in this moment, and then this kind of slice of life, wackiness in this next moment. So it feels very different, but it's definitely anime weird.
Yeah. So, not for the kiddos.
No,
for the
no,
kiddos.
no, no, no.
Not for the kiddos. Now, I think I'm glad that we're on this particular screen because
We're not moving.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not much we can go to.
There's very little else that we can actually show here. But what's interesting is that this is actually not it, at least in this episode. And what we have is the horror moments, as you're saying, Brent, are definitely horror. Like this, we were confused. We were told this was a not a rom-com, but a comedy. And we were watching it just going, it doesn't feel like a comedy, but it does. And it goes there and it goes dark. And it's very, very dark humor. Very, very dark humor.
Yeah.
And not everything is as it appears to be. Just to warn you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but that's what it is. But it's kind of it's weirdly entertaining insofar that once you just sort of accept everything that's happening being thrown at you.
Yeah.
Right. And the two kids here, they're literally just like of that generation of just going, oh, hey, look, it's a snake lady. Oh, that's kind of cool. And she's literally just like, what, you need to be scared of me. I do bad things. I curse people badly. And she says this repeatedly, and they're just like, huh, but you're not going to do that to us, are you? Well, I have no reason to. Okay, great. So we're good. Okay. And it just kind of goes in that vein.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you're saying, there's going to be another plot to this. And John, I believe you said you launched.
Yes, I've watched
for the episodes. But this was I will continue watching this, but not safe for work, not for the kiddos, but still very, very entertaining.
Well, to the point that you made, it's like we're tasked with sort of absorbing all of this and sort of just accepting it exactly the same way the kids, when they encounter her, are tasked with, here is the bad thing that could happen. Here is what the modern world looks like responding to something that should be a cosmic ancient horror. So what?
Yeah, kind of.
You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, that's really funny because you're asking us as the audience to do the same thing that these kids do, which is to look at the thing and be like, oh yeah, you're like such and such, and isn't that like a snake thing? Yeah, okay, cool. Because this isn't 500 years ago. This is now. So it's these things of myth and legend are relegated to their part in time and not actively considered typically a problem. And to the mangaka, or however this originated, to their credit, you don't have like ghost stories, a Manajaku, who's like rooted in like, I am an ancient evil. No, you actually have a kind of a horror undercurrent to a mythological creature that itself acknowledges times have changed.
True.
Things are different.
And to that point, it should also be pointed out again, this is more Japanese yokai, where we use the term monster generally to refer to something that's kind of fundamentally evil, where over there a lot of these are it's the jilted lover who then comes back to get revenge on her lover. So there's often some kind of backstory to the yokai that explains them, that makes them a lot more sympathetic than just a random troll over here.
Well, like Kabe, it's a wall. So it's a yokai that you proceed down a path and you feel like you can't go forward down the path, like it's a dark forest or something. Oh, that's Kabe. It's a wall preventing you from moving forward. It's like, it's not evil.
Yeah.
Right. It's just literally a thing. It's a yokai that does stuff. It's not necessarily trying to hurt you.
And as Brent alluded to, we got the story as to this particular yokai's existence, which involved farm implements and dismemberment.
Yeah. Not safe for work.
Not safe for work.
Not for kids.
Again, this sets you up, I think, well, because as I had said to you guys, watching forward a little, it comes back, the undercurrent of what can be horror in this, we've been exposed to it, so we understand that is a realistic part of the world they're in, and that you see that come back.
Okay.
So you're kind of reminded of it as the series goes forward. It's not just all fun, happiness. Here, wear an apron and let's do the dance thing. It's like, no, they keep that part of it, the grounded element, where this is a supernatural being, and there are rules that kind of apply to why she's doing what she's doing and where she is.
Yeah. I should also clarify, when we say not safe for work, not for the kiddos, it's topless nudity and some violence. Right.
Yeah.
It's not H, just to be clear.
Yeah. And it tones down the toplessness as
it does. Yeah.
as it moves on.
Yeah, that is kind of a joke, early on, that it's like, okay, well, let's not keep doing that.
Not Paw Patrol.
Definitely not. Also not Paw Patrol was Tomb Raider King, aka Dogulwang, which is a South Korean anime from this season. Interesting. The art style, as you can see, is pretty, like, literally visually dark. They're going for a tone that is trying to be serious, clearly, and there's a little comedy in here, but there's not much. This is very much the focus of this thing. Basic premise is that right around now, historically, this event happens in a bunch of, like,
relics.
Well, they look like pyramids.
Dungeons.
Basically appear, like Aztec style pyramids, at least from the ones we see, appear around the world, and they have these relics in them, to your point, Steve, which are these magic artifacts from myth, legend, or pop culture. And if you go in, they have powers, and yay, right? Classic things. And the main character is a Tomb Raider, not Lara Croft. I am curious because, like, they specifically call out that they are pop culture potential, so I wonder if we're going to get, the Ark of the Covenant from Raiders of the Lost Ark or something, or just something specifically from, Lotus War or something. But
it's a PC with the original Tomb Raider game.
There we go.
Hey. That's not in there. I'm just making a joke, people.
But yeah, exactly. No. So you get this, and a lot of this is establishing the premise of what's going on here, what he's trying to do, how he's lived his life, and what his options are now. A thing happens in this episode that very much changes his life in a different direction. So again, it is clearly trying to be more serious. It is also tackling certain national political issues around, like, corporate control of assets and things along those lines. So these sorts of things come up to give you an idea of, like, a contrast between this and, like, Cat and Dragons, right? Like, that's the kind of vibe from this show. Again, visually trying to be a little more seinen than a lot of the other anime we've seen this season. Animation is pretty good all the way through. The character designs often don't look, I think, as good still as they do in motion. Because I definitely enjoyed how this looked and how this moved. But a little hard to get a firm grip on how this is going to be in the future, because so much of this is establishing premise for me.
Yeah. The to piggyback on the animation and the look of it is very clean, very impressive. When we start the episode, you are in it.
Yeah.
You are in it. It gives you this kind of bleak forward to this fight that's at the beginning of all this.
Yeah.
And it's good. There's details in there that and it was just it was exciting. It was good. It's a little bit bloody, a little bit gory. Things happen. And
you might say, Steve, that fight was insane.
I had to get John, you do not have a leg to stand on with that joke.
You'll get it when you watch this.
I feel like you just kneecapped my entire.
Oh my god! Oh my goodness!
But moving ahead.
Oh jeez. But folks, when you watch it, you'll understand why this is all this is. But this is visually, it's very good. And even when we get to the point where it becomes a little bit more talky, it gets a little more talky, even then it still looks good. So there is that. And there is actually Brett, I think you said it. But, wow, they did the tiger mother the Asian tiger mother really well, and they did, and it's kind of funny. It was meant to be funny, but you see these kinds of things, and this is also to warn you that again, as you said, Brent, this is very much setting premise, so that's why there's the talkie. So usually, I talk about when doing reviews, I watch 3 episodes before I go watch it. Don't watch it. This is definitely the reason why. Because I definitely want to see episodes 2 and 3 where this goes, because it gives us a promise literally in the first 60 seconds. It gives us a really good promise of what this anime might be.
Yeah, Steve, you used a perfect word for this. Thank you, bleak. I think this is a very bleak anime. Like in tone and art style and everything. That's kind of the feel here.
Yeah, it's interesting because there really isn't a lot of hopeful uplifting going on in this episode. So that's actually really that's a good way to label it. As we had said, or I'd said when we watched this, it really felt like somebody really looked at Solo Leveling, enjoyed the hell out of that, and made something that is very close to it. So you've got a thing that happens. People go into the thing. They get the loot. They get the artifact. They get the stuff. You've got corporations that are trying to control what's going on, and you've got. It's interesting. It's not a independent person trying to do it. It's somebody who's kind of more in link with what the corporate desire is. You know, so it's kind of like, okay, I see the angle you're trying to take on that. I think the little twist in how they proceed forward after the halfway point in the show gives it a little difference from Solo Leveling, but you're still going to get, the guys doing the thing, the fight happens. There's these people and these things in the artifact domains that they have to go through, and you're going to have some amazing fight scenes. It's like, okay, if that's your jam, this is absolutely going to satisfy that.
Great. Now, speaking of kind of more grounded seinen, again, very bleak anime, let's move on to Flaming Dodgeball Girl Danko.
Yeah, I cried.
Yeah, boy, I cried for a lot of reasons.
The touching, heartfelt moments.
So this is a property from the 90s. That then got a remake manga recently, and now there's an anime adaptation of that remake. So they are very much going for 90s style anime here, very, very heavily, which is part of what I like about it. Original story was a over-the-top dodgeball storyline, so the son of the greatest dodgeball player of all time is now trying to uphold his father's thing with a group of other boys. They have gender flipped that, so it is basically all girls doing this, all apparently like grade school girls, which is interesting. Oh boy, is this shonen.
At least I hope they're not college age.
Exactly. So this is, again, it's shonen, but it's like 90s style, very hyperactive and like self-consciously, intentionally hyperactive anime. There's just literally stuff being thrown at you all the time in this show. The main character is highly energetic and screams a lot. I'm just going to put it out there that there's no other way of putting it.
So much screaming.
Exactly.
So much screaming. The word that comes to mind is amphetamines for this, or
energetic really doesn't cover this.
No,
it's literally like the old joke of amphetamines. Why Johnny can't blink. And it's just shonen. And it is now, if you're like me, that you have a hard time getting out of bed and getting the day started, just put this on. It's better than coffee. It just, all the screaming is going to make you like, like the Memorex ad. You just go, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But
and you can tell there's some fan servicey stuff.
Yes, true.
So
as the scene would tell you.
But to the point of the show, and you said this, Brent, is basically, this is a 90s property and they handled it thusly. And it's this, and if that's what you want, you're gonna get it and you're gonna be happy with it. But it's literally not that hard to think about. It's upholding Dad's Dodgeball legend thing.
Yeah.
And his gravestone is 9 stories tall. And,
because he was the greatest.
Right. Because he was the greatest. And, just so much screaming and just screaming. And I forgot about Susie there. And Susie is a grade schooler, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This would be like a guilty pleasure kind of thing, because it really does have so much of that sort of retro nostalgia kind of element to it, where it's like, wow, I remember when I was a kid in school and I loved watching this kind of stuff. I would love to know somebody who is up on the update of the manga, that it has like some deep, meaningful, life-altering kind of message behind it, other than dodgeball is fun and my friends will all play dodgeball together. If you're looking for something like that, where it's just deep, decompress and you can just watch something goofy and a lot of color and a lot of action, that's totally your thing. If you're looking for like Haikyuu or something that's like, oh, how does the team come together, I'm not getting the sense that it's going to be this deep.
No. And I think that's part of the charm, is that it is evoking this particular approach where it's just like, we're not going to let you be distracted, or or you can't blink because something's happening every femtosecond of this anime. And that just was that's a thing. And they're definitely locked and loaded on that.
Unapologetic about it, for sure.
Exactly. Yes. Unapologetic is an excellent description of the show.
Yeah.
All right, taking another hard left turn to the Forsaken Saintess and her foodie road trip in another world.
Oh yes.
So, John, you had the perfect description, I think, of this show. How did you describe it? Was this the one?
Was it Eurocamp meets something else?
Yeah.
Meets Food Wars?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Eurocamp meets Food Wars.
It's Food Wars.
So yes, basically you have happy-go-lucky girl who ends up in fantasy world and is has a sort of don't want to call it a cheat skill. Her special skill is summoning an RV, basically, and having excellent like danger sense. So she can tell something's poisonous, things along those lines, which allows her to just go camping in this fantasy world, basically. She rescues Demon Boy here, and he obviously immediately falls in love with her. I kid. It's not that. It doesn't go that like directly into the tropes. But talk about healing anime. This is definitely that kind of vibe, but with the twist that you're in an environment with danger around it. So there's other characters trying to protect protagonist Chan or gather materials for protagonist Chan, that kind of stuff. So it's a nice twist on that formula. The animation is perfectly effective. It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to look ugly. It just kind of does its thing. Although I realize I picked the one frame where he's cross-eyed, but whatever. It is.
That's part of his charm.
There we go. Cross-eyed Kun.
Yeah.
So talking about anime that very much, where the staff seem to very much know what they're doing and they're executing on that premise. This feels very self-confident in that approach. Again, and you can tell also, I think, from the art style, the vibe of this, where it's soft, bright, enjoyable, in that way. This was just this was chips and dip, we're just, this is nice. I just enjoy eating this. It's not massively life-changing, but it's just comfort food.
Yeah, and speaking of which, so when we started watching this, I got thoroughly confused because I thought I was like, oh, finally a healing anime about car camping.
Yeah,
and kind of a thing, and then she
kind of,
and then she pulls back on the rod and pulls out Oni Boy here, and in her magical power of summoning the RV, which has a great space inside, so it's like spatially different inside, inside this than it would normally see. And speaking of food, she makes the food. So
yes,
part of this thing is him like saying, "Hey, thank you for saving me. And by the way, this food's freaking delicious, and we need somebody like you on our team, on our party."
Yeah.
And so, of course, her skill, like you say, is like she's able to tell the difference between. There's one picture we had where she's holding two stalks of what looks like herbs, and she goes, "This one's poison. This one's okay. You're gonna die if you eat this one." And the guy's just like, "I can't tell.
Yeah,
I can't tell. You have value." So you have this, and the first episode really is just nice and soft and very kind of in that healing element, until you discover that, in this world, when you hunt and you kill something, it turns into a already packaged parcel of meat.
Yeah, that was surprising.
So so as soon as the thing is slain, it goes ping, and here's your various sizes of packages,
your materials and your package.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so that was a little bit jarring, but I guess that's one way to get around of not having to go, "Okay, kiddos, we're gonna watch this nice lady from our world and fancy world field dress a beer."
Exactly. Yeah, true.
So very inoffensive, enjoyable. Chips and dip is really a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Well, I think if you really enjoyed campfire cooking in another world, that this has a very similar kind of vibe. Because I was going to say, it's nice to have somebody who is the protagonist where they don't suddenly discover they have the power to destroy everything in the world. Right. Who knew I'd be this powerful? And much like campfire cooking, it's like, no, you've got a skill set that is useful, and it provides, a good, means of getting the story moving along, like the RV, without having it be, you guys who are the skilled adventurers, take a back seat. I'll handle this.
Yeah, true.
It's like, no, you have somebody who has a skill that is good to support the characters that are going to go do the adventurer stuff.
Right.
And it's like, that's nice. We get to see some cooking. We get to see camaraderie. Folks come together and appreciate good food. And it's a nice ride in a way where we don't have to be browbeaten with how exceptional this person from the other world, how unusually powerful they are.
Right. Because this is where girls belong, in the kitchen. Kidding. Kidding. It's a joke.
I can already feel the hate.
No, but very much to your point, this is a character who's and Forsaken Saintess, she's summoned to this world with another girl, and this girl is is not chosen, and is like, no, I that's not kind of what I wanted to, I'm not a fighter, I'm not a violent person, I prefer to just camp all day. So it's somebody who can fulfill their desires in a way that's also useful to other people.
Yeah. Owning your own skills, utilizing them in a way that gives you satisfaction, as well as a sense of value as other people respond to those skills positively.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Well put. All right, moving on to, I gotta say, this is the season for 90s anime, because we move on to Goodbye Lara. So this, was this is just like the 90s.
Yep.
Just animated straight, although the king is straight out of Rose of Versailles. But
Yep.
other than that, so this is a Little Mermaid inspired story. Main character is a mermaid princess who is born to the king of the sea. And it is happening actually, as you can see, during the 1700s. So you get that vibe of time. And we get kind of the whole thing. I'm going to see if I can find. She has a whole,
treasure cave.
Treasure cave. There we go. So she's doing that whole thing. Things happen. She makes a deal. She makes the deal with the sea witch. Not literally named Ursula in this version, but very much the sea witch. And she does the whole storyline with her and the prince. And that's 2/3 of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because then more things happen. And I'm not going to, we don't, I don't want to spoil that because it is a lovely twist. As you find out, this is far more than that story, and they're going in a very different direction than this. But it is, again, like reflexively 90s in style. I love the simplicity of the character designs in the best way. I think it also allows them to, one of the things I noticed was the relatively high animation budget. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of characters shifting around and doing things because they're not drawing every single detail of the hair, and the eyes don't have 10 different colors in them. So I think that helps a lot with the production in general. And then I think, again, adapting a classic fairy tale also gives it that slightly world masterpiece theater vibe as well. So you get that there, but this is pretty ambitious. Like I'm quite impressed by this. You have to be in for the art style, in for the approach. It does move quickly, so you're not gonna have a problem with that. But it is very much its own thing.
Yeah, it does take the original classical story, and you get that, the first 2/3 of the way through the episode, and then it goes into that. Okay, so here's the rest of the story.
Yeah,
and we go into that new idea of where we're going to go with that. And again, don't want to spoil that twist. But this is definitely 90s animation. Everything's constant movement. One of the funny things is that our protagonist Lara here is a foodie of sorts. She's born and she eats a smelt just
immediately.
Immediately, and it's for like the first third, she's just nomming on things. And it's just like, oh look, it's a statue of my father. I'm just going to eat that head. And this and so we get this cute story at the very beginning, and that you definitely get the Little Mermaid vibe. You get the story and all that, and they get you through that really quickly, and you have your Disney moment of being in the treasure cave of human stuff, but then it goes into that dark direction that the classic tale goes in. But visually, this is, I don't know why, but I was thinking it's like Sailor Moon in terms of the villain, the witch.
Oh sure,
you're right. 100%. That kind of thing going on, and just this manipulation of going on, but it's not dumbed down, but it's also not overly complicated. True. And you feel bad for Laura because you're just like, oh honey, you're getting, oh stop please, that she is not the Nigerian prince, and don't give your information to him.
Well, to that point, Ursula is so over the top in the Disney movie, right? Whereas the sea witch here, and I forget her name, is the character design is very Sailor Moon villain, but the way she talks is very much, hey, here's what's going on. I got a deal for you.
Yeah. And very much that way, even all throughout the episode, where even at the end, when we got, okay, here's the new part of the story that we're going to get now, she's still just like going, am I really that bad?
Yeah.
And you just kind of go, oh, well, yeah, I mean, she's doing it for her own reasons, but yeah, okay. So there's a little bit of a quandary going on there. And yeah, visually it's fun. It's a very fun thing to watch.
Well, to be honest, if we had not watched it together, I would probably have cut at about 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Because it feels like, and there were parts in it where I spared you guys the problem of it, but there's parts where it's like, I just wanted to break into the appropriate Disney song for that moment.
Sure, yeah.
So it's like this, I think, I know I'm going to watch at least the second episode, if not more, because I want to know now with the twist that they take on this, how does this lay out? Because you have to have a little bit of tolerance in the setup for this, because it feels very much like, well, I've already seen a Little Mermaid. I don't need to watch this again. Yes, it's different visuals and it's kind of a different structure to how the piece looks, and it's very retro and it's a lot of styling. But like, I can sing the songs and I know where that's appropriate in here. I don't need to watch this. So it's like, I'm glad that I watched it with you guys. That kind of got me to that point where it's like, oh, it just doesn't retell the whole story.
No,
it's got something else to say. I'm like, fair.
Yeah. In fact, it kind of assumes you've watched the movie or you've seen some variation of it. Because they skim a lot of the story here. They kind of summarize it very quickly.
They do a great job. What they touch on are exactly moments where you can start humming songs. You get Treasure Cave, you can start humming a song. You can start humming a song at the rowboat. You can start humming a song at the Sea Witch. And it's just like, okay, you're extremely aware of how all of us are going to respond to this. And now it's time to so for anybody watching it, it's like, know that you're getting that set up to something different that's coming, and be curious to that. And relive the nostalgia, sing the songs, do what you got to do to get to the point where it changes.
It's the Little Mermaid, but it's not the Little Mermaid at all, in a way.
It's not. For copyright reasons, it is not the Little Mermaid.
Well, no, it is the Little Mermaid. Right?
Not the Disney one.
Not the Disney one, exactly.
Not the Disney one.
Folks forget there was an anime Little Mermaid TV show before Disney made theirs. So it's been around a while.
And I heard there was a book of some sort.
A book? What's a book?
A book. And it had pages in it and stuff.
Yeah. Strange.
It's like a grimoire of all the magic in the world, and it records. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a different story.
It's like a printout of a tweet. It's basically what a book is.
Oh, okay.
A bunch of tweets gathered together.
Right, printed out. Yeah. You can carry it around. It's more convenient that way. Okay. Moving on. This is the downside of moving alphabetically, is that you bounce around quite a lot, because next we get Grow Up Show, which is nothing like any of these. So this is a moe anime, just straight up, no question. This is a moe anime about a girl who was raised in the circus, much to her chagrin.
Yes.
Her father was, let's just say, very enthusiastic about the circus, and so much so that it did not rub off on his daughter very well. And I think it makes sense to kind of explain the premise here. She ends up going to this very small scale circus that is desperately in need of help. They perhaps don't know this, but she ends up getting hired to basically judge them and advise them on how to be better. And because she spent all of her life in a circus, like literally from toddlerhood, she knows almost subconsciously how to judge and how to analyze and what to do. So I brought up Amagi Brilliant Park, both in terms of character designs and kind of general basic premise. It definitely has that vibe. A lot of fun circus things. One thing I appreciate is that the show doesn't it glamorizes the circus for comedic effect.
Right.
For much of the 20th century, the circus had this glamour associated to it that was kind of inherent, and that's gone now because people just don't go to the circus anymore. So there's this sense now that we all know what the circus is supposed to be like, but that's not the actual experience people have now. So we're going to kind of play around with that. Lovely animation quality in this episode. Characters stay on model. Obviously, they're moe cute. You get all that. There's definitely the sense that this is going to turn into a how to put it, ensemble kind of growth series where each of the characters is going to go through some realization that they need to be better, and they'll kind of figure out what's going on and move forward to get better in their lives. That kind of a vibe for a show. I think it is, in some ways, for me, it didn't break a lot of new ground dramatically. But it is executing very effectively on the kind of story it's telling. It's kind of like you go into a soap opera that's doing soap opera really well. You're not going to get big action sequences. This feels like that kind of moe work. What's the term? Moe workplace anime, if you will, just at a circus.
Yeah.
And seeing how the characters move and grow. Should also point out, all the performers are orphans. So that seems to be an element as well of found family.
Yeah, it took me a moment to realize that this was, until you said something, Brent, that this was set in the 50s. And so, that's why if I were to go walk out on the street and come up to somebody who is a 15-year-old on their cell phone and go, "Hey, have you been to the circus?" They'll probably go, "What?" So this is definitely a time where, as you're saying, where a circus would mean something. And this is 1950s Japan. Think about it for a moment. How important a circus would be at that time in terms of affordable entertainment and things like that. And we get the sense that there's a competition coming up. So, everyone's trying to gear up for this. And our reluctant heroine, whose father really is the guy who's just like, "I'm a trapeze artist." And you're just like, and he goes, "Isn't this great?" And her response is just like, "I'd rather die." And but to the father's credit, he is supposed to be the best in the world, but he pretty much orphans her. I mean, that's the other part of this. It's
true.
Like he's
pursuing his craft.
And so the animation is really nice to look at in this, and I can't wait to see when we get into the more extravagant circus crowds, as we see a little glimpse of this and start seeing that coming together is going to be really, really kind of interesting. But this is, like you say, this is not breaking any new grounds. There's not a whole lot. You don't have to think on this one, very, very hard. And it's just a nice, sit back, and just enjoy the story.
Brent, now that we talked about the 1950s element to this, but it also makes me think, to your point about circus, what's a circus today? Thought that occurs to me is they still have circuses. They have Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil doesn't have animals. You know what I mean? So it kind of occurred to me, it's I wonder if this is supposed to sort of highlight how small their operation is.
True.
But a small operation, I would have thought in 1950s would have had dog acts, like hopping poodles through a hoop, maybe a horse. But it's that doesn't mean anything to a modern audience.
True.
Who probably would be more familiar with the human circus that is Cirque du Soleil.
True. Yeah.
So this circus presentation is the human circus.
Yeah.
So that it touches on something that people could sort of lock into. And then the 1950s, it's a poor circus. It's post-war Japan, so this is the best they could do. Maybe they couldn't afford animals.
Also, from a pragmatic animation perspective, how well does the animation staff, what skills the animation staff have in drawing dogs and horses?
Yeah.
Especially cavorting around, jumping. Yeah.
And we've seen how they've used CGI for some of the trapeze work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they've taken the animation, weight off of that part.
Yeah.
There are parts certainly that we noted where the trapeze work is actually animated.
2D animated, yeah.
Yeah. And then they've gone back to the 3D when it's something else that they need sort of like a greater perspective on.
Yeah. Right. It seems when it's like a long shot, they'll go with CGI. Yeah. Which is reasonable. It's a fun show. I think fun kind of is it's meant to be fun.
I think when they ultimately, I would guess when they ultimately all come together and do the thing excellently, whether they succeed or not, whether there's a nobility in failure or not, they will grow individually and as a group.
Yeah, exactly.
That feels like that's the message that's going to be at the end of this.
They're idols, right?
Yeah.
It's the idol show trope.
They're all going to the last man standing circus, so it's all they kill each other.
No. Please no.
Bloodsport the circus. No.
Exactly. Another fun show we had this season was Hanaori-san still wants to fight in the next life. We have kind of main character is this NEET, effectively, who is living in his, he says he's a NEET, and just living the NEET life, and then suddenly pink-haired girl shows up and reveals that he was the Demon King and reincarnated into this world, and she was the heroine who defeated him, and now she's going to defeat him again, despite the fact that he hasn't done anything wrong in this universe. And so it becomes, again, kind of a sitcom. He ends up becoming a teacher. And of course, where does he teach? Her class.
Yeah.
And so we get that and that kind of joke. What made this kind of stand out were the number of stylistic references to past anime. We talked about the Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei reference in here. Things along those lines. So there's a lot of that kind of visual comedy in this as well. And it is based on a 4-koma manga, I think. So it has that snappiness of, setup, development, punchline. Setup, development, punchline very much throughout the episode. Again, fun, light, upbeat, cute, straightforward comedy. If you like Azumanga Daioh, it has kind of that vibe to it. Nichijou, that kind of thing, fits quite nicely. So again, I don't think this is going to be blowing anyone's heads off, but it was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. So when we were initially watching the first 15 seconds, John, I believe you mapped out the next 20 seconds of what was going to happen. And we're just like, oh yeah, that's funny. Oh, wait a minute, that's happening. That's happening. Holy crap, that's happening. And so, but yes, this is again, no new ground. Visually, it's a very fun show. This is I don't see how you can kind of sleep through this one. And it's just, take this for what it is. It's not mind. It's not mind blowing, but the jokes are there, the delivery is there, and it's just,
Well, it made me think a devil is a part-timer if you made the protagonist be a teacher versus working at a restaurant.
Gotcha.
And it's that same kind of thing. You've got the wacky premise, and now they're in our world, and all the people that surround them, and wackiness.
Yeah.
It's good to deliver exactly that, and it's I'm sure it will be as entertaining and punchy as it is in the first episode. I'm sure that could be carried on through the entirety of the show.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm realizing now, looking back at it, how much they commit to the comedy visually. which is kind of difficult to bounce back and forth between the kind of a semi-chibi, different kind of things like that.
Yeah.
The over-the-top facial expressions, that kind of stuff. But all in service of the comedy. It's not just random. And so that I think that also helps with that approach. Yeah. All right, moving on to Heroine, Saint No. I'm an all-works maid and proud of it.
Yep.
So this is a kind of an odd one.
It's a show.
It's a show.
It's anime.
Well, when we talked about setup episodes, this is very much a setup episode. Our main character has had a somewhat difficult life, and she has now decided to become a maid. She obtained some powers that allowed her to become kind of the perfect maid and do everything. And so this first episode is very much about her coming to her first job, which is in this extremely rundown mansion, where she agrees to become the maid to blonde-haired girl Chan, and she
extremely rundown girl.
Yeah, extremely rundown girl. And so she does that. She becomes the super maid, and does all that. So it's visually very appealing, very moe. The art is pretty consistent throughout. It is very much explaining what's going on, so that's kind of appreciated, where they're not throwing you in that sense. And there is a fair amount going on with establishing all these things. But the overall vibe, yeah, that was funny. Because it is so much setup and so much premise, it's a little hard to grasp. And then you see her as a kid, she kind of maids were her thing. I don't have a good sense of what the show is going to be like in episodes 2, 3, 4. General vibes, but like the overall, the exact tone is a little hard to grasp here, because I'm still not sure like what's going to happen now that she's the ultimate maid. So that's kind of where I was at mentally at the end of this. That's not a complaint. Certainly visually and tonally, I think this is, it's kind of established there's going to be a pretty light, comedic kind of a thing. But in terms of what's going to happen, I don't know.
Yeah, she's going to destroy the world through her amazing, powerful skills of dishwashing.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, this one was a little difficult for us, I think, a little bit. It was, I mean, it's visually, it's fine. It's some of the effects that they have is really nice, but it was confusing. And for a variety of reasons, like, we get about 3/4 of the way through, and then we discover, oh, it's an isekai. Well, kind of an isekai, sort of.
Yeah.
And then but then we get that moment of explanation of what that part of it is, and then it's just like almost no longer relevant. And right, and then we have this girl who is just her literally, my takeaway from the first episode is literally just she wanted to be the ultimate maid, and now she is, and now she's happy. So end story.
Yeah, right.
Right, so again, like you, I'm just kind of like, okay, what are we gonna do after this episode? What is the story going to be? I get a sense that it's teaching blonde girl Chan how to be a proper lady so she can get married off. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do have to say that the transformation scene in this is very long and stunning.
Yeah. There's a lot of attention to the transformation scene.
Yes.
I've seen this formula before. I can think of like at least 2 other shows where it's kind of got a similar kind of vibe, where overpowered maid Chan. And I don't know. I have not read the manga. I've not watched forward of this. I have no idea. We watched the first episode with you guys. I would hazard to say this will be, I found the power. The power is really off the charts. I use it to protect what's important to me. So Blonde Chan will be put in circumstances that require Maid Chan to save her and to do things that are heroic in a maidly way, and that she resolves everything. And again, I do not know, but bad person comes into the house, so she uses her super soaping the floor power, and the person slips and falls, and I need to get you out of here, so I'll use the air drying of the laundry spell to whisk you out of the way with an air current. It's going to be something like that. So I would guess that's going to be the joy of pursuing the thing you love, and you can do other things because that joy spreads. That's kind of, I think, where I could see this going. It's hard to really tell ultimately.
Yeah, for some reason, as you were describing it, I was thinking Sally the Witch.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. Using my powers to help people. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Totally. Just as a maid. Well, speaking of using your powers for good, we need to switch to the Insipid Prince's furtive grab for the throne. Now, again, this is not about our personal opinions. Our personal opinions were very specific in this. So first thing you'll notice as we skim through here is that it is artistically and animation-wise very generic, right? It looks like a lot of other isekai anime you've seen, that kind of a thing. The story is basically our main character is kind of living a Batman life. So he's a prince deliberately trying to come across as just kind of a wastrel kind of a person, but then he takes on this other personality of this adventure called Silver, where he goes and takes care of threats to the kingdom. And then the basic premise here is that one of his other brothers really should be in line for the throne. He's going to kind of arrange that and align for that to happen. This is a very talky episode. When I say very talky, it is an almost exclusively talky episode.
Yeah.
There are one or two action scenes that are pretty brief, and they are, again, pretty generic. We were talking about how this is an interesting idea that could be presented very well, but this episode arranges things in a way that didn't really capture our attention. And so I don't know if that's kind of a failure on the part of the anime staff of adaptation, of just figuring out how to organize things to make it effective for the audience. What you leave as explanations in the text and what you have characters say to each other, that kind of thing. Yeah. So again, this might kind of come together better in later episodes, and there's nothing in here that was like that was bad, so to speak, that like there wasn't any one thing I could point to say, well, they should have done that differently, other than just being extraordinarily talky. It was just kind of mediocre across the board for a lot of the things for me.
Generic.
Which again doesn't have to be a bad thing. It is just kind of another fantasy story about characters doing fantasy things and kind of politicizing.
Yeah. So when we watched this, we went through a generic, very non-inspiring action scene, and then we get into the rest of the episode, which is, again, as you're going to hear about this episode, very talky. Yes, that's a very terrifying loss. And it's not, you're not gonna watch this and go, oh my gosh, this sucks. No, to your point. But at the same time, you just kind of go through this and just go, but do the thing. You're not gonna do it. Okay. Oh, okay. I got it. Oh. Oh, okay. With literally not getting into it, but there were just choices on how we can communicate that information.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit better. Yeah.
If you want to scroll your second screen while watching this is probably a good anime to do that with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hesitate to say it was bland, but I'm not sure. I don't have my thesaurus to really go with tell what's another word is synonymous with bland.
Yeah. Well, generic. You said.
Yeah. There isn't a hook in this that drives a sense of the story's deeper, and it's just it's just a done anime. So don't worry about the visuals because it feels like the story has got so much like weight to it. It's got some meat behind it. But we've already seen so many. I'm the seventh prince. I'm the forgotten heir to the throne kind of things, where it's like, okay, this is the same thing. It's like, how's somebody going to get to be king? Oh, it's going to be conflict between the princes and who's going to be the top dog. Okay, I already know that story, and you're not selling me on really a lot of parts of this where it make me more interested to see how do you develop that.
Sure. Were there elements of it beyond that kind of you had issues with? Because I, to be clear, I don't want to turn this into we've seen this before because other people haven't.
Right.
So
Right. Well, it's just purely the fact that there's not a hook thrown at me that gets me with a piqued interest.
There.
It's presented in a talky kind of exposition kind of way that I'm not really interested in what they're explaining. And there's not enough detailed kind of action going on. Like the fight wasn't an amazing, put together of like animation style and the character design that gave me I could put aside the hook for the story and just be like, wow, visually it's stunning. The way that you animated this is just amazing. It just left me going, well, that's, it's another story.
Yeah. I think for me that it's that the hook that they tried to provide to us never did its job.
Fair.
Right. I think that was a big problem. And also the other problem is that this is not a format or genre of anime that you do this amount of talking to try to get people to think. This is not like Ghost in the Shell 1995, right? Where what does it mean to be human? And it's just interesting visuals and no talking, like those things. Whereas in here, it's just kind of like Game of Thrones, as if everyone didn't use swords and they just talked at each other.
Yeah. If somebody told me they enjoyed this anime, I wouldn't be shocked, right? Like I can see somebody coming in and going, I find this character interesting. I find this character dynamic interesting. I like this kind of story. Gotcha. Fair. There's nothing about it that I'm like, why would you not like this?
Right.
But there's nothing about it that like that I really liked, that I was like, oh, that appeals to me. And like you say, like no hook, right?
Yeah.
And just
Well, I guess it'd be one of those things where it's like, if somebody wants to comment and say why they really enjoyed this show, what was it for them that gave them that high point?
Yeah,
where they were like, oh no, you guys missed, or you have to put this in context. If you had paid just that little bit of attention, I'd love to know.
Sure, yeah.
And it could be one of those things where they go, look, we get what you're saying, but episode 5, trust me.
Fair.
If somebody said,
blows up fire.
And it could also be one of those things where like the manga is really good, and this just didn't quite capture that.
Right.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right. Again, hard left turn into a show that we did very much get hooked into and intrigued by. Kaijuu Girl Carameliser.
Oh yeah.
And you think, Kaijuu Girl, what an odd title. No, that is the premise. That is exactly the premise. So we'll see if we can get a clip here. Main girl is, well, there we go. Main girl has a condition where whenever she gets, I guess it's emotional, or she suffers some kind of like major emotional swing, then her arms turn into claws and her feet turn into claws as well, and like wings come out of her back and things along those lines. And then partway through, and so she has developed personality, shall we say? She is rather reluctant to engage with other people because that has caused, as you can imagine, some very stressful experiences for her. The twist being that she ends up having essentially a date with the cute guy in her class. I've read the manga, and one of the things I appreciated in the manga that I think they translate here very well is that he's just a nice guy. He's just plain straight up nice person. He doesn't get freaked out by her behavior. He just is kind of like, why not hang out? And then unfortunately she gets flustered, and she turns into Godzilla.
Literally.
Awesome. Transforms into a giant Godzilla-esque monster.
Yes.
Not trademarked.
Yes.
This is not made by Toho. But yeah, like she literally turns into a giant kaiju. So I'm glad it's like I'm fitting my pet feelings. Imagine that. The metaphor here is fairly obvious for adolescence and the feelings you have. But what I love about it is how well it balances the comedy of all of it, the kind of silliness of all of these elements, the goofiness of many of these things with the rather heartfelt emotion that she clearly feels. With all of these things, like this does matter to her, and she does appreciate this, but she can't control her feelings. And then things happen as a result of that.
Gee, being a teen and not have control of your feelings and your first crush. No, nobody knows what that's like.
No idea.
Not at all. No
Definitely
idea.
Not.
One of the things that made me verklempt a little bit at the beginning of this was when they show the story, and they gave you like 2 or 3 instances of it where she just kind of shows you back in the past where she's just like, oh, I can have friends, and then the thing pops out and everyone's just like that. Oh God.
Yep.
And you're just, and like, I think my initial reaction is like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not good. But it does have this comedy of like how she deals with that by getting those things back under control by engaging in things that she enjoys. Like, so there's certain types of food that she likes, and death metal that she's listening to at the same time. And she just wants that privacy. And then, this guy shows up, and just as you say, he's not vapid. He's not, he's not stupid or anything like that. He's just, a handsome boy in school who also kind of every now and again just, can you not swarm me, please? Can you not?
Mm-hmm.
And he, starts this relationship. He kind of understands. And the other nice thing about this is that he understands the boundaries. Like at one point when they first hang out, and somebody goes, "Okay, I'm gonna go now. I'm just gonna leave you alone."
Yeah.
And it's not a brusque, brush off or anything. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I get it. No problem.
We're done here.
Yeah, we're done. And we'll move on." And then the budding relationship, of course, is the fact that for him, she's saying things that he's telling her things. Oh yeah, look, I was a porker. I was thing, and she's just like, and I have a Godzilla hands. We have something in common. Eat the food, and it's just kind of nice. And then like you say, this is just all a big metaphor for adolescence, where at the end of it, she's just like, she turns into the Kaijuu, and I just love how the JSDF just shows up.
Of course, yeah.
And the first thing, the helicopter comes in, and it's just like, what do we do? Just shoot it? Shoot it? Yeah, and they do the thing and whatever. And then we get through this really nice sequence of the dude's starting to put it together a little bit. He doesn't know, but he's starting to put it together a little bit. And the mother.
Yeah.
The mother, who may or may not have been a magical girl.
Yeah. Never know.
Yeah.
Well, I there had been a series a while back called Maidens in Your Savage Season.
Yeah. Right.
And I love the way that it travels through adolescent girls' emotional development and how they cope with growing into adulthood, growing into late teenhood. And this as a means of talking about the emotional and psychological elements of growing up. You know what I mean? She's getting older and she has a crush, and you know, she wants friendship, she wants connection. And then to make that all representative with a kaiju, I was just like, okay, this I'm on board with this. This is a lot. It's not better. It's a much funnier representation of that serious subject matter.
Yeah.
So O Maidens was like a really interesting sort of very grounded analysis going through like these different women's lives. And this is just like, wow, you're giving me all that, but I get a kaiju.
Right.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I feel frustrated. I feel angry. I feel kind of like I don't know what to do. So I just become giant and like potentially just vaporize the city. Yes, exactly.
Right. Also kind of impressive looking back on it, the approach to the visual style, where on the one hand it is very shoujo anime, very bright. Sorry. But like also it plays around so much with art style, where again, like when she gets out onto the date, it becomes a little more serious, a lot more purples and dark colors. It becomes a little more stylized in its approach in that way. Like it has its own approach to things. So yeah, that was also kind of interesting. All right, moving on to.
Oh, and I will say,
yes,
they lean into the kaiju music.
Yes,
like there is no damn tomorrow. It is even if you can't see any of the images, if you just listen to it when it happens, you're like, oh, that's classic kaiju.
Yeah,
like they totally grabbed the music for that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, glad you brought that up. All right, moving on to Mebius Dust.
Oh yeah.
So this is an interesting one. It is about teams of teenagers living in a timeline in which these strange crystals actually fell on Earth, and it mutated various children living there, giving them odd powers. Think kind of like X-Men, but a little weirder. So one girl's legs can kind of transform into high-speed roller skates. And one boy can transform into like an armored person. Things along those lines, which I think is kind of Colossus. But again, that kind of thing, we kind of threw an anime that. So yeah, a bunch of guys can summon hands around him. And the problem is they can't leave this area because this effect has so gotten all the way through their bodies that if they get too far away from these crystals, they will apparently die. So they're bound in these areas, and because they're bored, they do these kind of parkour-y challenges with each other. They get together in groups and do these games with each other at night. Whereupon, totally not suspicious Saintess-kun shows up and promises he has a way of allowing them to leave if they use his special technology, which allows them to remove all limits on their powers. And there's some government control thing where if you push your powers too far, they find out and intervene and force you to pull back. To be clear, something that I was kind of curious about. The government clearly doesn't like kill you or anything, because some of the kids said, "Oh yeah, I've done that before. Like you're not supposed to, but you just you're not supposed to." And so then they go off on this big thing, this big challenge where they can finally use all their powers to their max, and they do, and that's the end of the episode. So it's again a lot of shonen action, although there's no fighting monsters or anything like that. We still don't know what the consequences are of this thing. Very clearly, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated this kind of action-y story, but where it's not violent in that way. Like they're trying to knock each other out, knock each other over. One girl does have like a knife finger, but it's not blowing things up. It's not destroying monsters. It's capture the flag.
Yeah.
And that was an appreciative vibe here. The animation is quite on point. There's a lot of action here, and they keep it moving. Everyone moves, and everyone is animated to their own personality. So girl here is very closed down, very minimal kind of expression, and that is how she's animated. That's how she moves. Other characters are much more expressive, so they're leaning into that a lot. Again, clearly aimed at more of a teenage audience, and I'll be curious because so much of this is getting you a sense of this very large cast. I mean, we have like 10 teenagers, something like that. Yeah, in this. Yeah. And so there's a lot of individuals, a lot of powers to get used to. And I think we did a good job of pacing this to say, okay, here's where we're going. Here's the kind of tone and vibe. We're finding this middle ground between over the top shonen action and a more serious thriller vibe. So it definitely intrigued me, and I think the quality is up there in terms of both animation and storytelling and editing. Also, something I want to mention is the clarity of action in this. There's a lot going on in these chase scenes, and I never felt confused, which is impressive. So yeah, it was definitely a standout, but one of those things where it ticks if you're trying to filter anime by different things, this has a lot of different things to filter down. It is a very specific set of things it's trying to do in this show.
Yeah.
Not appealing to everyone.
It visually nice, fun, bright, definitely.
Yeah.
And that was a funny scene.
Yeah, the dancing. Yeah,
the dancing. Yeah, that was a very hilarious scene. But it also gives you the idea of more useful powers, but different kinds of powers, like Boogie Pop, where right. But these powers are more useful.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of this is that these teams are not just like, we must win nationals or anything. They're literally bored out of their skulls. Yeah. And this is their only real form of entertainment. Yes, and they live in a mostly deserted part of town where most people are removed. There's still people that are there, but this is where they have to be because that's where the crystal is. And yes, I had an initial Kowloon romance vibes.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. But nobody's like out to kill each other. There's no like, I remember when Sven and I were best friends. We're no longer competitors. No, it's just this is a game, and they all meet back at like various places and hang out.
Yeah,
right. And like they're at a spa and they're doing the thing and talking to each other, just going, "Ha, you almost got the flag, but I beat you to it," and kind of a thing. And but one of the big takeaways that we're still confused about, I think, a little bit, is the talking Inuyashiba. Yeah, little dog. So there's not sure what that is about, but it gives us a stake here where we had the guy who doesn't blink, the guy in the lab coat who just he just almost never blinks, and he goes, "I have all the solutions." When someone just is like that excited and says, "I have your solution," that is the Nigerian prince. Yeah, I mean that is you red flags immediately go up.
Mm-hmm.
But this is setting us up for, this is a setup episode to introduce us to a very large cast and what it means to be them. And this whole idea of, is this about them just being able to live a normal life outside of this umbrella?
Mm.
Is there a conspiracy about this? There's a lot of questions at the end of the episode where you're like, they did a really good job of giving you those questions that you go, fine, I'll go to episode 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the government tracking thing.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't seem to really impact them when you were introduced to the capture the flag game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's people out there, hey, you kids, or following them around. It just seems literally like groups of kids who are just playing capture the flag.
Yeah.
And nobody's supervising them. Nobody's monitoring them other than the notice, if you overuse your dust powers or whatever it is, it sets off an alarm.
Yeah.
Doesn't tell you, like, do they take you to a detention cell and then they let you go later? It's just kind of like, oh, yeah, we've done this before. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of whets your appetite to find out where this is going to go to, how this is going to progress.
Mm-hmm.
Why does crazy scientists show up and, make promises of, I'll get this solved, just wear these things on your body?
Mm-hmm.
That's like, if you like parkour, and I liked the animation style when they were focusing on the kind of parkourish action, it was very interesting. It's nice to kind of have that without somebody trying to kill anybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the nice competitive part where it's not stakes for national. It's a nice competitive part where there's not a death stake.
Yep.
It's just making the best fun you can in the situation that you are.
For now.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because that's the other interesting thing, is that there's this, not quite foreshadowing, but there's this, I got this very strong sense that the shoe is about to drop, about where this is going, that somebody's going to fall over dead, and we're going to get Bokurano all over again. So we'll, I'm curious to see if they're going to go in that direction.
Well, and it's the nice thing that they whet our appetite for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't know what the government's doing. You don't know why crazy scientists suddenly giving people this something that'll solve their problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and?
Right, yeah.
What's the other part of this?
We talked earlier about anime that didn't play off expectations well enough. This is one of those shows that does play off expectations and makes you want to know more. Where it's like, you've seen this setup, so you know where this is going. And, that then prompts you to go, oh, okay, why hasn't it happened yet? Yeah.
Well, like Charlotte, the anime, where it's like the government, there's a vested interest in controlling kids with powers.
Okay.
And that's like it's kind of a central thing where it's like you have to hide your powers and you have to watch out for the government trying to control you. It's like, we don't know that this is going to go that way. It might not, you know what I mean? It might, the government doesn't care. Maybe crazy scientist guy is just a really good dude. It's like, no.
Right.
No.
We're all a little too deeply suspicious for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when the stranger comes up to you with candy, we all know what the answer should be.
Exactly.
And that's the feeling we get from this guy. It's like, hi, I got all the answers. Do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll be fine.
It'll all work out.
Speaking of anime where it's not all fine, let's move on to Red River. About a normal Japanese teenage girl who gets pulled into the kingdom of the Hittites. It is just the kingdom of the Hittites. Now, this, a bit like what we were talking about earlier with the Mongol anime, I do appreciate how well researched this is. Obviously, the Hittite culture is not as, we don't have as many records about exactly what clothes looked like for every single strata of society and so forth. So we're more limited there. But like overall, the culture and style, I think, is efforts were made. We'll put it that way. Protagonist Chan is in a bad place.
Yeah.
Bad things are going to happen to her as a result of all this. But thankfully, that's the interesting thing. So, on the one hand, there's kind of two elements to this. Her sentence, okay, I'm not going to be able to explain all of this. Basically, the way she gets out of it is through her own cleverness. So she thinks through the implications of this and how she can not turn it to her advantage, but ensure that she doesn't, let's just say, die a horrible death. But then also, pretty boy Prince here swoops in afterwards to ensure that she gets fully rescued, in the sense that that's not enough, right? Like, she got herself out of the immediate physical danger, but not the larger political danger. And he is able to navigate that to keep her safe and pull her out of that. So I really appreciated the fact that she had that agency as much as she could in that situation. But that also, realistically, being a foreigner here, there's only so much she could do to understand the situation. I mentioned Fushigi Yugi when we were talking about this. If you've seen that, I think there's very much vibes of that. The art style is very modern, anime style in terms of character designs and such, with some tweaks here and there. The Villainess is more classic anime, kind of 60s style character design, I felt, almost. But it is very much, girl out of time and trying to survive, and doing so with a pretty boy in there. But I think that the twist of it being an actual historical society and not an isekai, not a fantasy world, helps to differentiate it and make it interesting. And also the fact that they are uncompromising about differences in culture. Makes it different too.
So I thought I enjoy the historical aspect of this, and they're actually in the capital city of the Hittite Empire and going through all the emotions. But leading up to that, we start with a kiss, her first kiss with a boy in Japan, and then we get to see the home life. And father, in addition to his wine at dinner, has a tumbler of scotch, I guess. And it's just like, okay, why are we seeing this?
Yeah.
But the episode, I believe, is a hello kiss, a goodbye kiss, or something like that. I forget.
Yes.
What it was, something like that. Yeah. And so we go through this, and then it's one of the nice things that I thought was really cool and that we picked up on is that when she is finally taken to, because there's several attempts before she's actually taken to the Hittite Empire. And remember, this is not an isekai. She's just going back in time. She's being drugged back in time.
Yeah.
So there's several attempts to grab her, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Until finally it does. But when she gets there and she starts talking to people, it's not like she automatically understands everybody. Everyone just starts talking, and we're all just like, okay, that just sounds, that's going to sound like gibberish, because you don't, do you know the Hittite language from the from the BC era? No, so of course, a well-placed, well-timed kiss, it somehow enables her to be able to understand what's being said to her. And pretty boy, and yes, she's very resistant. She's very, very afraid for her virtue, to the point where she's kind of ignoring the sharp, stabby things being pointed at her. But yes, it was. I think this was a classically done setup episode. And we know exactly where we are moving forward. And the outro, animations and scenes that we get gives us a better idea of what she's going to be in this world.
Good point.
I thought it was distinctly interesting to have the Middle Eastern historical show that had so much history to it, and then this again, Hittite, sort of mid East, I guess, somewhere around.
Yeah.
Turkey,
Fertile Crescent.
I think.
Turkish, yes.
Yeah.
That it's almost historical, except for the magic bringing somebody from somewhere else.
True. Yeah.
You know, that's not quite. I mean, maybe that is accurate. I don't know. I haven't been whisked away with Hittite magic, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting. We get two like historically referenced at best.
Yeah.
Call it that.
Yeah.
Shows this season, and I appreciate the way that they didn't do a lot of very dark things with this. That they sort of gave it gravity without being explicit in some of the things that are going on. So it's like it's some nice storytelling that makes it, I think, more family friendly if you're going to watch this.
Well, except for that one shot.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So there is a shot early on of what's going to happen to the girl later on, which is I would shield the preteen's eyes from that particular shot. It's pretty dark.
Yes, I remember that shot now. Yes. That one's a little grim.
Yeah, but other than that, you're right.
Yeah, there's not non-consensual things that are occurring all over the place in this show.
Right.
So at least
good point.
It's giving you the sense of how this plot's going to go, where hopefully it will carry forward with the interesting political intrigue that Steve had said. The outro, you get a lot more hints about like, oh, this is going to go much more broadly than I would have expected for this. So
it looks like she's not going to stay in the palace for the entire show. Put it that way.
Right. She's not scrubbing pots and cooking, doing household chores.
Yeah, or other things.
Yes.
Other
things. Other things. Yes. Things.
Drawing water. Oh, yes.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Drawing water. Yes.
Drawing water.
And getting wet. She's also not smoking behind the supermarket with you.
Oh, that's true.
So this is pretty much straight rom-com with elements of workplace comedy in the sense that the guy has a truly terrible workplace. And they are playing off of that, how stressful it is, and his secret calming ritual is to go to the local supermarket, although it looks like a conveni to me. Maybe just kind of a small supermarket where the checkout girl is just so nice and so pretty and so lovely, and she's just a balm on his soul. He doesn't get creepy. He just, checks out. He doesn't ask, what her name is or anything. He kind of does his thing. Although the receipt does show her name, so he finds that out.
Yeah.
But he's deliberately not creepy. And then eventually, he ends up going behind the supermarket to catch a smoke with chain-smoking biker girl, apparently. And they have a little bit of an interaction there, and there's clearly some I don't want to say attraction, but some interest from her about him, where she starts to, she asks questions of him and so forth. So she's kind of intrigued by him. And then we kind of go from there, story-wise, as we kind of contrast his interest in the supermarket girl and the girl behind the supermarket. So I really enjoyed this for the fact that the comedy is played straight for comedy. They don't try to be overly cute with their comedy. They're like, these are the comedy bits, and they don't try to strain it too much. And then when we get to these scenes, they play out very much as two people getting together and just chatting over cigarettes. There's not a lot of complexity, if you will. It is, you get the comedy moments, but then it's just, it's characters chatting and doing their thing. So I loved the normality of the show, where it felt like people I would actually know and interact with to an extent.
Yeah.
And just handled with relative deftness for this kind of a premise.
Yeah, this this anime is definitely something that's definitely up in my wheelhouse. This is not going to be, there's no, it's like will they, won't they, and all that kind of stuff right now. It's just kind of like, just he's looking for a place to smoke, and she's like, "Hey, come over here."
Yeah,
and she, and they have this relationship, and he hasn't figured a certain point out yet. We won't get into that.
Yeah.
But one of the things I enjoyed about this was that the smoking is not, we're not. This is not smoke. Have a smoke. You want the flavor of this? Yeah, we'll get to another one that we'll talk about a little bit later. But this is more along the lines of this is the plot device that gets these people together.
Yeah.
And the way that they show how his life goes, and like literally when we say that she is just as you said, a bomb on his soul, it really is like his thing is just like, well, oh my gosh, we've been in this meeting since midnight, and and I'm just gonna go by my supermarket, see the very nice checkout. It's like when you go to your store that you're regular at, and you see the person that you normally say hi to, and maybe you share a couple words, and you feel a little bit better. You forget a little bit of what's going on in your life a little bit, because it's not like I would know about anything about having a crappy job is, but but this guy really has a crappy job, and so we get all this exposition, and it doesn't force anything. So this is a really nice pacing to it, and we're watching this guy who he has an interesting character design. It's almost as like he's an anemic ace lawyer guy, like
ace attorney.
I said ace attorney. Because I am jacked, but he just has this genuine look, and again, he's not trying to be creepy. He's not trying to be anything like that. He's not like going, "How do I get the pantsuit shot?" No, that's not happening. So it's just kind of a refresher of this kind of anime. And the other point that I like about this anime is that I am the audience for this, right? Like the audience is clear for this. This is an adult anime for adult people. And when I say adult, I do mean adults. This is not going to be your idol anime, and it's not Otome or anything like that. So this is just a guy who's just like going, I had a crappy day. Oh, she smiled and she's just got stuff. I feel a little bit better. I need a smoke.
Well, having read through the manga, it stays true to the character design and to the story is running right along exactly with the manga.
Cool.
As I had noted, we were watching it. There's detail on him that gives that exasperated element, and then there seems to be a lot of loving detail on her.
Oh yeah,
where she seems like a much more completely drawn and lovingly rendered character. And it's just smoking is the thing that gets the people where they are supposed to be.
It's the catalyst. Yeah.
It's not the thing that's the point. So if you're a non-smoker, it's not off-putting.
Right. Yeah. Also, it's motivated by the fact that he's in this terrible job. Like everybody smokes because they're all stressed out. So yeah.
So it's like there isn't anything that is concerning necessarily in the presentation of this. You could just kind of relax into people just learning about each other and just trying to unwind from a day. But it's like, that's a nice element. And
it should be pointed out, Japan is a culture where smoking is still more accepted than it is over here in like the US and other places. So it's also a thing where this isn't as big of a deal. So.
Right.
Okay, time for another hard left turn.
Can we pause for just 1 second? I'd like to buy a break. Just
okay,
just
okay, sure.
Just a second. Thanks.
Yep.
Ooh, excuse me.
We have 5 more.
Nice. We can do it.
We can do it.
It's like thinking about the next one about smoking. I'm just like, yeah, cat girl taking a shit.
Yeah.
Eh,
Okay, then there's that one. Oh, good. We will end on young ladies don't play video games or fighting games.
nice.
That's a
nice.
fun one to end on.
Yeah. And now we're going to end on one where everyone dies. The ghost of Takahara came back and did this one. Oh.
Yeah, for a season that didn't look particularly notable, that not a lot of things left out. There's a lot of stuff in here that I would definitely go back to.
Oh, yeah.
I also appreciate the circular in bright yellow on the right side of the screen. Just that,
I was just looking at that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the 398 yen, beef or whatever.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, it's a much more tidy supermarket than any I've seen over here.
Yeah.
Everything's in its place. Now, what is that in the left? Because I guess it's a checkout counter. Oh, is that like the codes for vegetables?
Probably.
Okay,
Probably.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Yeah. 185. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because it's on every single thing. So yeah, on every counter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I'm just like I'm thinking about the average grocery clerk that I deal with. I'm like going, it's rare that they're that nice. It's just kind of like they're usually dead inside. It's just like, please kill me. It's just like, no.
I'll say the ones in my supermarkets are not like that, but they're certainly not. Well, one of them is chatty. Well, none of them are cute 20-somethings. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's definitely a difference.
Well, it's just like Trader Joe clerks versus like giant clerks.
Yeah.
To Trader Joe's, people generally are okay being there, and they having worked for that company before, I know why people are fine with I understand why they are the way they are, because they're treated in a far different manner than most other grocery stores. And like giant, where you just kind of get speaking of smoking beyond the grocery, you get the one like it's like like, I know I look like 12, but this is what 3 packs a day does.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm actually 24.
I've had a hard life. My dad was a trapeze artist. What? What?
All right, back here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so let us shift away. Another hard left turn, maybe a hard right turn this time. Who knows? Over to the Sparks of Tomorrow. This is a Netflix anime by Kyoto Animation. And boy, is this swinging for the fences. So this is an anime set in the early 20th century, in a period in which electricity never caught on. So Edison, Tesla, and the others either died or were not born or whatever. And so we are still living in a steam age in the early 1900s. There is smoke everywhere, and that is kind of one of the ongoing kind of elements of the story. We have a boy and his brother. The brother very much wants the new age of electricity to begin, but it's just not happening. And then we get a time skip and move forward as we discover that they are now separated. The boy runs a repair shop and is on the side also trying to deal with trying to popularize electricity. by making specialized bulbs and things like that. And then we suddenly get family political drama in the middle of it, with this guy who is a very nice gentleman. He's sweet and kind,
pleasant, charming.
Very wonderful person, as you can tell from the art style. Yeah, so he's there, and he then proceeds to be the fly in the ointment, basically. So he's motivating a lot of the storyline, and we start to find out this is a bit of a thriller, really. There's a MacGuffin that the characters get interested in, and we get some interesting elements there as the story moves forward. Now, again, lovely guy, wonderful, fantastic person.
Still wouldn't take candy from him.
Exactly, yeah. So
he's just enthusiastic.
Totally. A lot of the appeal of this is the visual approach, the cramped alleyways, the cramped rooms, the retro technology where you see all of these steam machines that are now being used for very mundane things. How they've figured out their world and how they're expressing that visually is really well done. Speaking of talkie, this is the opposite of talkie.
Yeah.
Almost everything is expressed through character action and through the environment. Really, really well done. Some very interesting artistic sequences where just odd things happen to get across a particular person's feelings, which I really appreciate. And you get introduced to the world and the characters in this episode and where it's going. But this is really more a feast for the eyes and something to make you curious about what's going to happen next with these characters, how they're going to deal with this problem, where it's going to go. We talked about retro anime, and one of the signature things of like anime of the 80s and 90s is that they just throw you into a situation and throw the characters into a situation and just see how they scramble to deal with that. That's very much this approach.
So again, visually, this is very stunning. Now, to be clear, this is not steampunk. This is not steampunk. Right. This is literally a world that is powered by gas and coal, and to create steam to have these machines. So you see this background, this very highly industrial background, and there's that palette of dullness that you would attach to pollution permeates through this whole anime. Yeah. And then when you see the parts about light, electric light, then that kind of goes away, particularly with the imaginings of our protagonist towards the end. And when they say that electricity never caught on, it's not that people don't know about it. It's not a secret.
True.
It's just something that, this is the more available technology because this is what's being done. This is what everyone's focusing on to make things work in the world. This guy. Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, the kid who is a little bit of a scaredy cat, as his older brother calls him, has a little bit of social issues. I don't want to say social issues, but whatever. It's some degree of that. But when you actually ask him about something that he's interested in, he turns into fanboy. Yeah, and it's hilarious. Yeah. It is hilarious.
He's an electricity otaku.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yes, kind of that. Yeah. So he just really jumps into it, and the world building on this one is really great. It's really, really great. And when he's showing her this, and he makes a recording of her voice, then he does a slideshow, which blows her damn mind, right? Yep. And he's using electricity to do this, and you can see that he's on the cusp of it. Yeah. He's on the cusp of things and his brother, when he was younger, was having him write in this book called The Electric Catalog, these ideas, not necessarily technical ideas, but ideas, because the ideas are what moves innovation. And so, if he comes up with it, and so he had all these brilliant ideas they put in there that maybe Edison had, that maybe Tesla had, that all these the giants of electricity had, but he's the one who's thinking of them, and he's the one who's putting it all together. So everybody's looking for this book that the brother took off when he went to war, which I think, John, you said it was the Russian Japanese War, 1905. Yeah. And so that's where we get the thriller. And then we get our very friendly white-haired neighbor who's ever so kind and lovely and just ever so charming. And, if you see him driving a van, just run. Because he is just, he's all that. Yes.
Yeah.
In that picture. Just creepy and but he has an agenda, which is he's a steam and energy magnet. So either he wants this information to further a goal or to destroy the goal. And so that's where we start getting all this stuff. But the world building is wonderful. And yes, it is nonstop action. And I love how they treated towards the end of the Meiji era with the clothing and how people were walking around. And the one instance that we get of an impromptu exposition of lights in trees, was awesome. I think people are really gonna like that scene.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we were watching it in the first couple of minutes, Brent, when you'd said, "This looks like KyoAni."
Yeah,
yeah. And like 2 seconds later, you're like, "It is."
Yeah.
I already was by that point in time hooked with just the visuals of it, and then once you said that, it's like, well, no, duh, because kind of KyoAni's thing. So it's the premise of a more advanced steam world versus steam sort of fading in the background, electrical world taking over. That already is interesting.
Yeah.
I was prepared for it to go steampunk. I was prepared for it to be like, oh, this is the year 2255 after the whatever war. It's like, no. Yeah. This is just the beginning of the 20th century, and things had just changed ever so slightly in like a 20 or 30 year period.
Yeah.
This is exactly how things would have gone. And then just looking at the concept of what would society look like, steam piping and all kinds of service lines and just filth.
Yeah.
In the opening of it, you have a train scene where the doors to the train, they're getting ready to, I guess, come into the station, and the doors of the carriage of the train open, and you just see all of this filth, soot, gunk coming in. And it's like, that's a very realistic interpretation of like an entirely steam-driven society. Where does all the smoke go from all this combustion?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's all presented in this style where you've got some more muted colors, not because it's necessarily the artistic style. It's the like, oh, this is what this would look like if you had all this soot and grime from this world. So I love the world building. I love the what happens if steam advances further, and at a critical point in Japan where you have great modernization is coming in that time period after the Sino-Russian War. You have Japan making great leaps in battleship technology and in just general engineering feats. That really, I can't wait to see how this will progress.
Yeah.
Like how they're going to change that by making electricity be behind the steam technology. I'm like, it whets the appetite for what KyoAni does great.
Yeah.
It's like telling a good story, giving you all this visual richness to lock into, and just the hope of how this will turn out.
Exactly. All right. Time for another left turn into Though I Am an Inept Villainess. So this was interesting because, you hear Villainous, you have thoughts, and then you see this, which is sort of Chinese court vibes, or certainly, ancient like Japanese or Korean court vibes. And the storyline here is, and again, this is all very early stuff. Protagonist Chan is one of the concubines, I guess, of the king, or I guess wives maybe of the king.
Yeah.
And she is murdered, but body swaps. And so she switches in with the body of the woman who murdered her, or attempted to murder her. I should say, I back up. She's not actually murdered. There's a murder attempt. Then there's a body swap where she ends up in the body of the attempted murderess, while the attempted murderess is now in her body. And so you then get the complexities there as the murderess is reveals to her this plot and how she's going to die as a result of this. But shocker, that's not exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. So it is really, this is not an Otome game. This is court intrigue within within the court. It is court intrigue, like quite literally.
Yeah.
And so dealing with all of that and trying to clear your name and trying to navigate the court politics as you're now in a completely different position. One of the neat elements of this that I had not really realized until 2/3 of the way through is that protagonist Chan has a very sickly body. And she's constantly coughing and very weak. When she body swaps, she is physically much stronger in her new body. Her new body is very, very strong. So there's an element where potentially protagonist Chan can outlive her old body.
Right.
If she's able to play this long enough and make it work out, her rival might end up just, dying one night from dysentery, basically. So that adds a twist to it, which I think gives you this sense of timeliness that, okay, they don't have to drag this out forever, which I really appreciated. Also, very attractive character designs, nice art style. They put for a show where there's not a lot of, there's no action really. There's quite a lot of movement, and there's quite a lot of attention to the details of that movement as characters are moving and doing things. There's a lot of jewelry, so just seeing how the jewelry moves, etc. They pay some attention to that, so appreciated there.
Yeah, so I'm a sucker for court dramas. Just this is something that I enjoy watching, and so we have a court that we're in a world that has a limited form of magic, that people have certain abilities, things like that. And our protagonist is more in line Snow White kind of powers with animals, things like that. Whereas the Villainess is more fire-based and things like that. But we're not talking about apocalyptic power levels. No. We're talking about you're right. Like, for example, the Villainess uses the light of a candle to communicate with her opponent. She deals with being able to deal with animals and calming them down, but it's not like going, haha, jujitsu, and calm. It's more along the lines of actually talking and just being soothing and that kind of stuff. But the swap wasn't like, we're just like, did something happen? Because we see a comet flying across the sky, and we see the push happen, and then things go into this magical fire, which is actually kind of beautiful, and then we get into the main story here, and it's not like Otomo where the princess is outcasts the good girl because he doesn't know that the good girl's been inhabited by the bad girl, right? And so but of course, now that she's been rescued from the fate worse than death through her own powers, he basically makes it very clear, the prince that she's supposed to be in love with, makes it very clear, says, okay, you escaped it this time, but we're keeping our eye on you. You step out of line, it's you're done, kind of a thing. So that's kind of like the trick here of her having, if we think she's going to try to outlive her old body, that's going to be her trick of just like, okay, just gotta avoid those death flags. Just gotta just keep on going.
Well, I was surprised because the comet scene, we're watching this. I'm like, oh, this is like a wish gone awry somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I expected it looking at how it was starting and sort of running. I'm like, oh, it's going to be, I'm expecting this to be kind of a fairly dry court procedural, if you will. It's, all the different factions are going to line up. And then this happens and it's like, oh, so this is not our third historical. This is kind of historical, but there's magic.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So that helped me to wrap my head around, like, this could get funkier. And then when we get some of the scenes like in the dungeon where it's like, oh wow, okay, this isn't, it's not incidental magic. It actually has some really cool magical kind of thing kind of going on with it. That for me was the hook. That it's not just going to be a dry court drama. It's going to be something interesting. With the body swap isn't the only thing going on. Like fire magic is a whole different thing. Like, how does that play out overall? Does body swapping give her fire magic, or does she still just retain the sort of calming technique? So it's like this, that's got me to look forward to see what's going on. I'm like, I like the characters. It's got nice fluid animation. I can't say as like I was looking for it to be more complex in like the character outfit and stuff. But they're extremely competently done, and we get nice fluid movement. So it's visually pleasing. It's got an interesting story hook. Okay, good.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of anime that were pleasing and had an interesting story hook, actually, we can move on to The World is Dancing.
Yeah.
Because this is our next historical anime of the season. So this is set many centuries in the past in Japan, dealing with a performance style that was popular in the, I think, 11th to 14th centuries. So definitely, well in the past. And the main character, see if we can get him, is the son of the lead performer in this performance troupe that is kind of going around place to place. Again, think like a circus, but more low key. So it's, some juggling, a simple play, a dance, things along those lines. So a little like the circus anime, actually, but without the trapeze and that kind of stuff. So our protagonist is here, and the protagonist does not understand the appeal. So in contrast to the other girl who is kind of circused to death, where it was just like, you're going to love the circus. No, not really. This is a character who's just like, why do people like this? Why would people enjoy this kind of thing? I don't get that. Also, he is not sufficiently coordinated. So, whereas his father has this great physical dancing talent, the son does not, but has been trained very heavily in this and just does not get it. So what you get is there's certainly some comedy in this, with him dealing with the other people in the troupe, trying to protect the son of the founder, who also is trying to sneak away and not be the son of the founder, if you will.
Yeah.
So all of that going on, but also this, what do you call it? Anime about growth, about going through, trying to find yourself. It's very much that kind of a tone for the storyline. Is, what is all this going on? What is, who am I, basically, is where this is going, but set in this specific historical period with specific characters. The story also does a really good job of introducing you to just enough characters as it's going on, where you get to know the boy, his father, the kind of minder for the boy who's keeping an eye on him. And there are a bunch of other folks in the troupe that we see around, but they're not like introducing and giving a lot of lines to. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll learn more about them but it doesn't overwhelm you with that. And again, a lot of attention to animation, to the different character expressions and transitioning between those well, having a lot of fun animations and movements for the characters, showing things through how the characters move. Showing their personality through movement, which I really, really appreciated. And that's there. And again, interesting approach to the art where it's got this soft color palette, not quite pastels, but not quite muted, because there's definitely some brightness here. But that kind of shoujo feel in a way to the art palette, despite a story that is more of just a universal story of finding yourself.
So for a person who enjoys historical things, this has been a really good season for
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is I forget what year this is set in.
Yeah.
But it is
14th century, according
14th century. Okay, 1300s. So it's not Sengoku, but it is during a time where it is, there's a lot of warfare going on. But it's not quite the collapse of Japanese society as the Sengoku period would be.
Yeah.
But we get that tone throughout the anime where we see skulls on the ground and from previous battles and things like that. And the idea of that is definitely when he meets up with his friend from the local village, and he learns that the festival has been canceled because he can't afford it, and so they're dancing, and he's just like, well, I don't understand, I don't get it. And then he, as you're watching this, you kind of realize that when you're in this type of world, when you have nothing and you're your life is literally at the whim of whoever's controlling you.
Yeah.
Like these villagers, then having a festival is really freaking important. It's one moment of levity in your life.
Yeah.
And the kids just not getting it. And we start off with a comedic, as they're going through the play, and he just goes, "Oh, look at the birds! Look at the birds! They have function. What's the function of man? What do? We don't dance. That's not a thing." And so he, like you say, he's just not getting it. The first episode is him kind of doing that little mini journey of just going, why am I doing this? What is going on here? And then coupled with the fact that the father has kind of given up on him.
Yeah.
And, and there's that scene where, the father kind of realizes that both he and the father kind of realize that he is not going to be the inheritor of all this. It's not said, by the way, but we kind of all figure that out. So he's being given roles that he can, I'm putting it in air quotes, can do.
Yeah.
So to move the thing along. But there's a point where, the father just basically says, yeah, you don't have the skill to do this, and literally just shoves him away. And that's, you look at the kid and you're just like, oh, okay, that's a thing. That's a thing. But then we get to that towards the end of the anime when he sees something brilliantly animated. And and all of our jaws just dropped. And when we watched this, and we're just like, oh, and then the story then moves on from there.
Yeah, that was what caught me pleasantly by surprise. It's like how the variations in the presentation of the characters.
Yeah.
It's everything is so nicely appropriate to exactly what's going on, that when the protagonist Kun is with his minder and the wagon, his presentation style changes when he's kind of being a little crabby and being a little kiddish about stuff. So they make him sort of more chibified. So they're switching the animation style up to like emphasize where you are in the emotional journey of this kid. And then just the personification of the internal joy of dance
Yeah.
in a darkly, hauntingly beautiful way is stunning.
Yeah.
If for some reason you were like, I don't want to watch the rest of it, that is worth watching.
Yeah.
Just watch that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it reminded me of like how Rhapsody in Blue is done in Fantasia, or it's Fantasia 2000. I think when they do the Rhapsody in Blue, where it's just the kinetic motion and just to see it is just a pleasure to the senses.
Yeah. If you've seen The Tale of Princess Kaguya, the scene where Kaguya runs, is very much on par with this, not just in the sense of like artistic style, but of like the importance of that moment and what it means and communicates. Yeah. Amazing use of animation to tell an interesting and important kind of a story.
Yeah.
Completely unlike Yani Neko.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So this is a really interesting one. Like, I laughed a lot watching this anime. It is about a literal cat girl who is living in literal filth. She has this just absolutely terrible, dingy apartment that she lives in. And so on the one hand, that is the joke, is that she is always desperate for a smoke and she has no self-control. And you very much see that, and you see the various disgusting things that happen to her as a result of that. And they do not shy away from that visually.
No.
So again, not for the kiddos.
No.
Definitely not. Much less the cigarette aspect of it. So again, I found that funny. It does have the disadvantage that is the joke. So it's 24 minutes of that joke, basically. So after a while, it does get a little repetitive, and it is squalor humor. And after a while, that just kind of gets like, okay, I've been grossed out enough. You don't need to keep grossing me out with this kind of imagery. So that is a downside to it. Again, I do think it's funny. I do think they do a good job of that, and there's a commitment to animating this stuff where like there's a lot of humor around, I spill this, or this is my last cigarette and I fall somewhere, and they animate that like they don't cheap out on that stuff. And a lot of characters later on that get introduced, so there's a lot of variation there. But it is, we talked earlier about anime aimed for particular audiences. This is kind of a more on like the Beavis and Butthead, end of the spectrum of humor, as opposed to other things. So if you're into that, I think it'll hit more on that level, the late night Adult Swim, American comedy kind of stuff. That is more the vibe here.
Yeah.
And I would love to know, in the images you've highlighted on, I can't think of too many times that I've seen in any kind of apartment setting for an anime a screen door on the sliding door.
Oh, true. Good point.
Yeah. That's true.
Great point.
So I just noticed that in the image that you got here, where it's like, wait a minute.
Funny.
But go ahead.
So, no problem. No, I didn't even notice that either. Yeah. Well, actually, that kind of makes sense. If you're a smoker, then you're going to want a screen door.
That's true.
Honestly. Not that I know anything about that. No, I do not smoke currently. Emphasis on the word currently. But back in my day, back in my wayward youth, fortunately, it did not look like this. So one of the things that you have to kind of accept about this anime is that there are cat girls, and just accept it.
True.
Don't try to wonder about it. Don't
world.
try to do it. It's part of this world, and that's just how it is. And I'm just noticing the photorealism of the AC unit right there.
Yeah.
Okay. this is a odd. I like oddball and things that are just really unusual oddball anime, and this definitely fits it. This is definitely something that would have been on 3 a.m. on Adult Swim for the stoners.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, and it really would have been. And it is gross humor. It's squalor humor is a really good way to put that put that in perspective. And it is about the. Here's the thing: if you're not a smoker, then it would make perfect 1,000,000% sense if after about 15 minutes you just went, okay, can we get on to the next joke?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. It would make absolutely sense. If you've ever been a smoker, then you're gonna laugh your butt off, because this is what it is. I mean, not necessarily a squalor, but the enjoyment, the enjoyment of it, of having a smoke, and like planning your day around a smoke, planning your finances around a smoke, and then the things that you're willing to do when you screw up at your. This happens here in this anime, when your cigarettes somehow 5 of them impale on dog feet
something.
And the things that you say, well, most normal people will be like, oh, those are lost. But then the person, she comes back and she goes, well, if I cut the tips off, then it shouldn't be too bad. And that's a smoker's logic. That is literally the smoker's logic. But we get through this whole thing, and then we learn, then we find more characters, and then the sisters, that the prim and proper sister who is concerned and actually shows up in a hazmat suit. And then you see the not necessarily an epiphany, but the beginnings of the thought of our main character going, maybe I should dial this back a little bit. I'm not sure. But there is definitely squalor humor in this, and there is when it shows the scene of her being sick with a cold and still smoking. I know that. I know smokers will know that. But I will warn you, just as we said, that this is not for the kiddos. And when I say the 2 words toilet humor, there's no other way for me to just say it that won't get this video. That Brent, you would be like, no, we're gonna have to beat Steve out for the next 30 seconds. It's all that. I enjoy this. I will probably watch more of this. I think it's funny. But if you're a non-smoker or you're not into this humor, no, I totally get it. If you watch about 5 minutes, you just go, ha 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 ha, oh, ew, no.
Well, I mean, there was the moments in the toilet humor town where I was just like, wow, I'm not sure about this. But it gives you enough of the idea what addiction looks like. That you can, I'm not going to say you can excuse the toilet humor, but it makes that less shocking, because then you can focus more on like what it means to have a serious kind of problem. That you're willing to do things that most people would consider to be rather repulsive in order to achieve your high. And that gives me enough edge to be curious to see. You've sort of given a redeeming element. The sister wants to come in and help, and that it looks like there might be a turn. And it's like, okay, now if it was just that continuously addictive behavior and self-destructive toilet humor, I'd say this would be a hard one to kind of really get into. But they've seeded the very end of this episode with something more is going on. We got a few more characters, so it's like, okay, now I think I've got something a little more to chew on, and I can maybe look forward to a little less, and get on to something that's like more interesting to generally.
Well, I'm glad you guys brought this up, because I'm realizing now the toilet humor and the gross out humor is motivated by the fact that this is presented as a unhealthy addiction. Right? In a lot of stoner humor, the gross out humor is there as just normal part of life. You know, there's no negatives to it. It's that it is just a joke to be a joke. This humor is motivated by going, well, no, you should be grossed out by that.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that helps as well. Yeah.
I mean, the entire time I kept hearing the voice in the back of my head going, "Smoke, smoke."
Yeah. Wouldn't a Winston just taste good right now?
Oh,
Or whatever. Yeah.
And for the
Can't be
animation
a man
style,
tasting smoke.
I like the character designs.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? It's like they're cat girls, but
Yeah.
they're not sloppily done. They're not like chibified.
Yeah.
They're kind of cat people. Like okay, I respect the fact that you took that road with it. And it's very competently animated all the way through.
True.
It doesn't look like, you know, the photorealistic air conditioner. It doesn't look like they really cheaped on any of the other stuff going on. So that also kind of gave me a sense that maybe this isn't just Beavis and Butthead kind of like kind of humor. You know, that maybe you know, it's going to progress to something more serious. I don't know.
Yeah. Or not.
Or not.
It just stays toilet humor the whole time.
Yeah. We'll see. All right. Finishing up with Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games.
Oh, yes.
So this is an interesting one, partly because protagonist Chan here is going to elite girls' boarding school, where everybody is elite and a princess and wonderful. Modern day, of course. But she has an interaction with, we'll see if we can get a shot of the princess of the academy. And because you've seen the title, you know it's going to happen. You know,
fist fight in the hallway. No.
We stumble across, it's actually much earlier in here than I thought. We stumble upon her playing Street Fighter 6 with a dedicated gamepad. Now, gaming is not allowed in the sanctified halls of their all-girls academy. So this is a big deal. But this is witnessed. And then, again, because you've seen the title and we've seen the anime before, you know what's going to happen. Protagonist Chan is going to challenge her, and we'll find out that she's actually has some skills here, and we're going to have like a rivalry. What's interesting about this, and what's kind of weird about it, is that everything around that is Yuri anime.
Yeah.
So like it goes really heavy on all of the tropes of all of the Yuri things all the time. And if you're not familiar with those tropes, it's specifically like girls in academy and the cattiness and all that stuff back and forth, that contrasts oddly with the I'm going to challenge you in a fighting game element. Partway through, we literally do a door slam, or wall slam rather. And it's that whole trope, and it really feels like it's going to go in that heavy Yuri direction, and then they play a video game. So, and again, I think that is part of the humor, is that they're contrasting these things and playing around with not just the tropes, but of saying that is actually a really effective format for this kind of storyline. But yeah, it's definitely heavily contrasted, but good animation budget, a lot of attention paid to, again, color. As you can see here, everything's red all of a sudden, redshift. And there's this feels like they really have a vision that they're trying to execute with this show. It's a very silly vision. You know, it's very much a comedy, but I really appreciated the commitment to that.
Yeah. I think to play on that is to say that it's takes itself seriously by not taking itself seriously.
Yeah,
so,
you're right.
So the premise is given to us as, hey, this is kind of a serious, or not a serious subject, but we're going to treat this seriously, and we're going to do it in a way that's going to be humorous, interesting, and we're going to hook you into this in various ways, and then to make you watch this thing, because otherwise, if I were just to say, oh yeah, it's two girls playing Street Fighter in a school where they're not allowed to have gaming, it doesn't sound like anything, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, well, okay, it's the girl who got the scholarship, the poor girl who got the scholarship, and then she finds the rich girl. No one can ever know that she's playing video games. Still not interesting.
Yeah.
But then when you get all that together, then you go, oh, and by the way, there's blood involved, and there's a wall slam, and you think they're going to kiss, and you're just like going, yeah. And you're leaning into the screen going, right? You get hooked. They did a really good job, and talking about hooks this season, they did a really good job in getting you in.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, right.
Ow.
I mean, there's a scene at the very end of this where we all just went, "Nani?" And because, and then it even that ends with a thing of just her pulling. Oh yeah, I got a piece of glass stuck in my screen. And so it takes this premise and it says we're going to treat this premise seriously by being silly.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that we're going to tease you with something here, and we're going to tease you with a relationship that this will either grow or not grow, or this will be the joke, or this will be, but it's going to be integral to how we tell this story to you. Yeah. And then when we get the outro images, we get a better idea of where this is actually going to go, and a much better idea. But this first episode, not only does it set it up for you, but I don't know about you guys, but by the end of it, I'm just like, what? I wanted that damn kiss. I wanted that.
I was ready for it.
Well, I appreciated how they brought a balance to it, where the presentation style of, Hime-chan, that, she's the untouchable princess, and all the girls in the school, it feels sort of like a lady's modesty is rock.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's going to be something. There's going to be this secretive thing that's going to happen. But then they balance it out with this really funny little, you see the dark-haired girl, she's being stalked by Hime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, they keep the animation style for her, like, consistent, but you see Hime-chan like popping up as like this little chibi thing in a window over the toilet stall, and like in all these wild kind of places where it's like, okay, I love the awareness that you have where this is going to be funny.
Yeah,
you're not over slapsticking it, you're not making it really dry humor. You're balancing this where it's like it has pops of, did I see that? Did that happen? All the way through into the end, where you're just like, Steven said, we can't believe that just happened. What? How is this? It's not just hide the instruments and just be quiet about us having a band. It's like, oh no, this gives me an indication that this is going to go some places I'm not expecting it.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that you've done this for me in this first episode. So I can look forward to some funny pops of humor.
Yeah.
And then some unexpected action stuff. Apparently some great licensing where I can actually look at Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
And like actual game decks from like real game deck manufacturers where it's like, oh, wow. Okay. You guys, it's not just the premise. Like you've included like equipment to the premise that is legit equipment. Like, okay, you got me. Okay. It's like having somebody come up with a Fender Stratocaster, where you're like, okay, I see how committed you are to this, and I respect that you've given me that idea.
Yeah. Also, to be clear, the blood is a joke. Like it's like a woman punching a man and he flies into the stratosphere. Like it's that kind of visual, They're not literally bleeding out of their mouths, although they kind of are. But yeah, it's visual humor, and it worked.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So there
You
we
made
go.
me forget when I'm having a smoke.
Right. There we go. Those are the anime we watched. Episode 1s this season. Hope you guys found that useful. And thank you all for watching as always. And until next time, watch more anime.
Watch more anime.
It's more anime.